This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 845, The Glacier Front, Sentistan on Ice. Enjoy. We talked a bit about these last week. We have the Dark Ice Shard, which is a tier 85 damage and tier 85 accuracy melee main-handed sword. You'll need 2,500 Glacier Remnants, 5 Dark Neelas, 10 Blackstone Hearts, which comes from Elite Dungeon 2, and 2 Glorious Bars. The Glacier Remnants are dropped by the boss itself and killing glaciers on the battlefield, and the Dark Neelas are dropped from the Arch-Glacor itself. Anybody here interested in this sword?
I almost bought a set today.
All right.
To replace my Kopashes, because with doing melee with this boss, there's so many times I use Destroy, and then the minions spawn, and I don't have Hurricane available.
Right.
So that part would be nice, but I ended up not doing that.
So when you use the Dark Ice Shard in combination with its offhand, the Dark Sliver of Leng, which is the tier 95 version, or the Dark Ice Sliver, when you wear both of these, the melee abilities Hurricane and Destroy no longer share a cooldown, which is massive, because one of the things we've always had a problem with all the melee abilities is that some of them share cooldowns across the attack and strength books. So that fixes this in this case. Granted, of course, it is tier 85, so just keep that in mind. But once again, on the tier of Port's Armor, and I'd like to point out that this is something that isn't just dropped by random chance. It's something that you can work to, and something that you can get the bulk of it done by just killing glaciers on the battlefield, and you only need those 5 Dark Neelas from the Arch-Glacor itself.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a lot of people using, once they settle in price and get lower than the Kopesh, I could see a lot of people buying these instead of Kopeshes.
Yeah, and this is the
just
run.
Of
and this is the run people are on right now, is to gather these Glacier Remnants and Dark Neelas. Yep. Because the components themselves are not tradable. The Neelas are the Remnants. Now,
yeah, and what's interesting is that they said in the stream that you have to craft each individual item yourself to get credit for the completion log.
Oh.
Which is a very long decision they had over at Jagex.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. So I don't think there's a problem with that, though. I have always been advocating that bosses drop stuff that is related to their Slayer side of it. So now, as for the tier 95 main-handed sword, which is called the Dark Shard of Leng, you need 7,500 Glacier Remnants, 10 Dark Neelas, the Dark Ice Shard, and the Frozen Core of Leng that is only available from hard mode. Only available from hard mode on that. And I did some checking with people, and you can get this at sub 100% in Rage. David knew someone who got it on kill number 1. So it's available for everybody out there.
Yeah, it is. And it's a lot of money right now.
Yes, it is. And when you make this one, it works as part of that 2-piece main hand off-handed set that we talked about for Hurricane and Destroy, but it also has a special attack that costs 20% adrenaline, has a cooldown of 60 seconds, and for 30 seconds, your damage cap is increased by 30%. So this means that with melee, your max hit will become 13,000. I think it is, right?
13,000 without Grim or Smoke Cloud on, yes.
Right, okay.
Yep.
How do you feel about this?
I have a set sitting in my inventory right now that I'm waiting to perk.
Oh, so you got one?
I bought them.
Oh, okay.
I've not gotten a
How much did it cost you?
$6 billion.
Wow.
That was how much I said.
Take us through the thought process here.
They look cool. They're going to be fun to use, and I had the GP. I mean, that's really what it came down to. I think they're going to be super, super good, depending I think it's going to depend a lot on how much you actually switch weapons. So it's, in my opinion, it's going to take away the need to bring a two-handed weapon to places.
Yep.
Sometimes, so like for Solak, I bring a ZGS just to Hurricane a couple times. Yep. I don't use the spec at all. I use Cleave a couple times, but it's only just use Hurricane a couple times.
And the reason about this, and I forgot to mention this, with the offhanded variants of both the Tier 85 and Tier 95 weapon, the Hurricane ability can now be used when dual wielding. Normally it's locked behind two-handed, which is... I feel like this is going to be a big deal, because I see Hurricane, when I'm using my spear or something to that effect, as being one of the best abilities to use for AoE Slayer kind of things. And the fact we can now do that with two-handed, if you're using the set, that feels really good. So, use something.
Yeah, and like that. It's really good in like timed damage caps. Like Hurricane is better than Destroy, since it deals less damage, but in less amount of time.
Yeah.
So now you'll be able to do both of them not at the same time, but like right after each other, and it'll be more damage. And I'm looking forward to that part of it more than the spec will be interesting. From what I've seen, it goes away if you switch weapons, which I was worried about. If it didn't do that, it'd be super busted. So I'm kind of glad they did it that way, but I'll know more in the next couple days.
And with this, I was talking with Thaxi about this, and he theorizes that if you use Hurricane and Destroy in a Berserk rotation, you could potentially look up to adding 20,000 damage in that rotation.
Oh yeah, definitely can.
So, these are just a little bit of power creep for the melee side, but it's just advancing things in generally, I think, the right direction on this. So
yeah, I mean, they're definitely not as busted as the Staff for Armadillo was day one.
Yeah.
So I think they're in a good spot right now. We'll see in the next couple of weeks if anything gets adjusted or not. So,
all right.
I think it will come down to if there's any big content creators who find a good use for it or broken use for it.
Yeah.
Well, they can't adjust it because it's part of the game, right?
Oh, they can fully adjust it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the scripture. The scripture of when. This is something that is very interesting. So with these, the scripture of when offers +5 prayer, +8 to all styles, and the special ability Sheer Cold. Each attack has a chance to summon an icy beam for 3.6 seconds that attacks anything standing in it. And once the targets have been hit 5 times by the beam, they will shatter for 400% ability damage. And
yeah, this is
the
good.
general sentiment is that this is about on par of the scripture of Jazz, maybe just a little bit better in some places situationally.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. I mean, solo one monster bosses, Scripture of Jazz is probably better. Slayer, the new one is so much better because it's AoE. The new one is.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
From the tooltip for it, it has a 5% chance on ability hit to activate Sheer Cold, which performs 5 chip damage hits in a 3x3 centered grid on the target's starting location over 3.6 seconds. And it's the 5th chip on the target that will occur simultaneously that deals at 250 to 400% ability damage. So it's not 400 all the time, it's 250 to 400. But with that, that's still a huge number.
Yeah. I mean, I got one within the first hour of it being released, and I just held on to it. I tried it out only at the dummies in the combat arena, or combat wars retreat, that's what it is. And it hit an 8,000, which is good damage. I like it. I think it's better for people who aren't going to be hitting the damage cap with the Scripture of Jazz.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be more consistent.
Which one do you like better, the Jazz or Wen Scripture?
Ooh, it's tough. I think again, it depends on where I'm at. I will probably use both, depending on what I'm doing. Like, I could maybe see the new one, the Wen, being better at like AOD, where there's minions that'll spawn in. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to use them both, and now I'll have fun with them.
You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.